I'm also currently a student in the counseling program at St. Mary's. So I've been here for quite a bit, and I'm still here. So if you have any questions about anything, feel free to let me know. So let me see. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oops. Okay. So welcome to St. Mary's. I already gave a little bit of the introduction, a little bit of the purpose as well, but I just want to reiterate, it's really to give you some resources so that you can get to know kind of your academic evaluation, what requirements you need to graduate, and little areas. Really on Gale Express, I can kind of help you excel so that you can take ownership over some of the things you may want to manage in your education. I encourage you to follow along at home. You can I've never tried to access Gale Express on my phone, I don't believe, but I do think you can access it via your phone. It's from my St. Mary's, and it's on there. So if you want to follow along at home, you can. And if not, no worries. I am providing screenshots that I took really recently, so that the systems will look the same. And then, like Janae said, if you have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, and I'll stop after a couple of slides, just in case there's a lot of questions. So I am mostly going to talk about Gale Express. So this is what Gale Express looks like. Once you click on it from the My St. Mary's, you will sometimes have to log in twice. It can be a little bit finicky, that I've noticed. So when you log in, you should see all of these items in your menu. If you only see one little item, if you only see search for classes, then go ahead and click login again, because the search for classes is open and it's public to anyone who is not a student as well, in case they want to attend St. Mary's. So just click login again so you can see all these features. So we're mainly going to go over my academic evaluation, which is right here. But if you do have some free time, I encourage you to go ahead and check out my class schedule for next term, or other areas on here that are useful, because this is where a lot of the information resides. So again, going with my academic evaluation. So this is actually a screenshot of what my profile looks like when I click on my academic evaluation on here. It goes into this. So I am currently in the graduate education program with an MA for counseling. So yours will most likely say BA or BS for your bachelor's degree. And then you will just click on the one that's active and click submit, and it will take you to your eval. One thing I do want to show you is that if you change, if say maybe during the first semester you are not interested in your major anymore, or you want to see what the requirements would be for maybe a different major, you can click this drop down menu that shows you the different majors that we offer, and then you can see what the requirements are for that program if you were to switch while you're a student at St. Mary's. The only thing is the customizations don't transfer over. So if there are some customizations to your evaluation already, you won't see those because we make those manually. So the system isn't that smart that it will recognize them. We would make those if you decided to change your major. So once you hit submit, you will see your academic evaluation. I'm not sure how many of you have seen it, so I just wanted to kind of show you an image of what it would look like. This is mostly exactly what yours will look like. It'll show you when you ran it. It'll have your name and ID. It'll show you your catalog year, your email address. And if you're unsure who your advisor is, it will also show you who your advisor is right here, as well as where their office is. Ideally, I recommend that you check your evaluation before you meet with your advisor for registration, or when you're meeting with your advisor for registration, so that you know what requirements are needed. Everything on your eval needs to be completed in order to earn a degree. So if your advisor says, oh, don't worry about that, if it is outstanding, you should worry about it. And if your advisor says, don't worry about it, I would recommend that you email our office or email me and wonder why, because maybe it is an error that we need to clear up. But if we don't clear up that error, you will not get a degree, because it will prevent the system from graduating you. So I just want to make sure that if you see any holes, and your advisor is letting you know not to worry about it, just go ahead and let someone in our office know so we can address them. So I wanted to show you, so your eval just is one long document. You just scroll down. So once you scroll down to the bottom of this, you will see your program summary, and you will see all your credits and your overall GPA. So in your program summary, you will see the status of your degree. So this student is pending anticipated complete, meaning they're going to graduate once they complete the courses they're currently enrolled in. I believe yours, if you still have missing coursework, it'll say in progress. But this student is going to be graduating. So once you are in your last term and you're ready to be graduated, this is what you want to see. So the requirements to graduate from St. Mary's are that you need 36 credits to graduate, and you need to have at least a 2.0 major and cumulative GPA. So it's a little confusing, and to be honest, a lot of people don't know how to read this. So I just figured I'm just going to make it into one easy math problem because that's kind of what it is. So this student needs 36, as everybody does, to graduate, and they currently have earned 32. So what they need for the 36 is 4. So that's how many they need. So your numbers may be different. This is actually a really great example because it doesn't have any decimals, but yours most likely will because of the transfer credit that transferred over. It most likely didn't transfer over as 1 credit, like all the St. Mary's courses. So your numbers may have decimal points. And then an additional, anticipated additional is 5. So this is how many courses the student is enrolled in. So because the student needs 4 and they're enrolled in 5, they actually don't need any more credits to graduate. So as long as they pass all 5 courses, they're good. Now, if the student was enrolled in 3 instead of in 4, they would have 1 here, and this is where the system would tell you that you needed 1 course to graduate, and this wouldn't be orange. It would say in progress because you still needed credit here. So the 36 credits are absolutely mandatory. No part of it gets waived, even if it's 0.10. So you want to make sure that you meet those as you progress through St. Mary's. And I understand that sometimes it's difficult with the transfer work. So I would recommend that if there are any areas where you can take a quarter credit, as long as it doesn't incur additional fees, I recommend that you take a quarter credit so that you get as much credit as possible and you're not short senior year. Let me see. Okay, so this is this has a lot of text, so I will go over it. But this is the way your eval is built. All evals are built the same. You will see the top, this menu that everybody has. And then from there, you will see all of your other requirements. You will see your seminar, your English, your pathways to knowledge, engaging the world. You will see your language and your Jan term, and then you will see your major courses. So they're all listed here. You will have the status under every major requirement and then under every sub requirement as well. So this student has completed these courses, and then as soon as they complete the courses they're currently enrolled in, they're going to be completed as well, which is similar as the top. You will see all your courses here. You can see your major GPA right here. And then you will see notes. TE means transfer courses. So that's where you may see some of your transfer work. And then the credits that they transferred over. So as you can see, this student completed 2 transfer courses and they transferred over as 1.2 any credits. And it indicates here that it's a transfer course. Now, the other thing I just wanted to point out briefly is that minors and second majors will show at the bottom of the eval. So after this, there's one more section that I will go over in a little bit. And if you have a second major or a minor, that's where your second major or minor will be listed. I believe when you're admitted, admissions puts you into a major, or the advising office does. And I believe if you indicate a second minor or a second major, a minor or second major, they will add it as well. If you change your mind, you have to cancel your minor or major. I've seen a lot of students that don't know that that is a process, and their advisors don't know how to advise them regarding the major portion about how to cancel it. So you want to make sure, and I will show you in a second how to alter anything within your program. Because like I said, anything that is listed on here needs to be completed. So if, for example, the student had a sociology minor and they were like, oh, I'm not completing it, and my advisor knows I'm not completing it, so I'm not taking any sociology classes, but I'm just going to leave it there because I don't know what to do with it, the student will not graduate until that portion comes off the eval. So I'll show you in a little bit, but I do want to make sure that you look all at your eval and make sure that all of the requirements are things that you are approved of, i.e. that that is a major you signed up for, and that is a minor that you requested. In case you didn't, you can request to have it changed. Okay. Then there is your upper division, which your upper division credit is listed after your first major. So you can see all of the upper division requirements are listed here, and they're listed in the same way as a student. You will see the status, you will see the course, the term, the grade, and the credits. I believe the majority of transfer students are approved to graduate with 16. So yours will have a notation here that says 16 upper division course credits. And then I do want to note that you will need 16 upper division credits to graduate, and that this is a requirement that also has to be met along with the 36. So it's not in addition to, it can be included in the 36. But they do need to be upper division. So I believe most of you, if you're required to take seminar, there are upper division versions of courses that are lower division that usually undergraduates take during their first 2 years. So I did note them on here. So I just want to make sure that when you look at your eval, if you're taking seminar 2, you want to make sure you take seminar 102, which is the upper division version, because then you would get upper division credit. And then there's TRS 189, which is the upper division version of TRS 97, which covers, they're not equivalent, but they cover similar content and would fulfill those requirements. So you want to make sure you take that instead of 97 because it's an opportunity for upper division credit. And then there's English 108 in case you needed English 5. It's another opportunity for upper division credit. Now, the other area that students miss sometimes is Jan term. So Jan term is a great time to kind of explore different types of courses. Like you can see the student took Love, Money, and Avoiding Nuclear War, and he took writing the journalistic Q&A, I believe. And so what I recommend is that you try and take as many upper division Jan term courses as possible, because that is an area where you can get upper division credit, so that you're not at risk maybe your last year of not having enough upper division credit. So this student took these 2 upper divisions, which is great. So if you want to take, say you want to take your first 3 upper division and then maybe your 4th one is lower division because you don't need any more, that's great. But I would recommend you take as many as possible, keeping in mind that a lot of upper division courses do have prerequisites. So as long as you meet them or the instructor waives them, I recommend you take an upper division course.
Amari, how do you know when a class is upper division or not? Like, what's the indicator for that?
Great question. So courses over 100 and over are upper division at St. Mary's. Courses under 100 are lower division at St. Mary's. So that is something else you may notice in your transfer work. Some schools, their numbering is different. So some other four-year institutions, for example, only 200 and above is upper division. So if you are transferring in more work, you just want to be careful with that. But at St. Mary's, 100 and up is upper division, and below 100 is lower division.
And then one more vocabulary question. What is institutional credit? That's what it says on the program summary. Like, that, I mean, I know what that means, but what does that mean?
So those are the credits I'm going to go back to the first slide.
Yeah.
I believe it was on nope. Right here, right? Okay. So that's a great question, because this is actually really confusing and some advisors confuse it as well. So the institutional credits, and okay, I'm just going to be honest with everyone. I don't know why we have the institutional credits. I don't even know why it looks that way. I know why it's 9, but it doesn't make any sense the way it's set up. So in order to graduate from St. Mary's, 7 out of your last 9 have to be taken at St. Mary's. So I'm assuming that's part of it. But the institutional credits will show you just credits you've completed at St. Mary's. So it says required 9, but I believe if you have some here, I'm going to say, and Janae, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it matters if there's none here, but it does on the second circle. So you may only take 8 institutional credits and you will be fine, but if you are missing 1 here, then that is not fine. So institutional credits are credits taken at St. Mary's, and that is also your institutional GPA, because in some instances, if you apply for certain things or at St. Mary's to be eligible for certain awards, you have to have a certain number of credits completed at the institution only and a certain GPA at the institution only, not including your transfer credits or your transfer GPA. Okay. Whereas your overall credits and your overall GPA will include both of them. Alrighty. So we went over the upper division credits, and then there's the other courses section, which is really important as well. This is actually at the very bottom of your eval, even under your second major or a minor if you were to have one. One misconception is that courses here don't earn you credit. That's actually not true. All courses listed here will earn you credit. There's nowhere else in the eval to plug them in because they're maybe not a requirement. Maybe they're an elective you took, so they don't belong anywhere else, but they still are earning you credit. So for example, you will see that this student, so for example, on number 5, Education 70, their FIAC, so they registered and it was 0.25 credits and they earned 0.25 credits. For example, because they withdrew from Accounting 1, it will show on there that they withdrew. That's the grade from withdrawing from a course, and they registered and it was 1 credit, but they didn't earn anything because they did withdraw. So you will also see W's and F's here. That's where they will go because they don't have a place in your eval. And by F's, I do mean F grades. You will also see them on your transcript as well. But this is where they'll go because it just don't really fit in anywhere else. But if you see courses here with credit, it does mean they are being factored into your 36 if they're regular courses and 16 if they're upper division. It is most likely that the majority of your transfer work may be listed at the very bottom because you'll see maybe like ELEC00E for like elective lower division or any other subject that maybe you took an elective in that we don't have a course number for. So what I recommend that I see a lot of students do that sometimes students don't know they can do is that if you see a course here, like say you took a painting class and it transferred in as art 00E because we don't have a number that matches it. So that's an art elective and you're earning credit you're earning credit right here. You can submit a special action petition so that it may fulfill one of your artistic analysis or creative practice requirements. I would say they don't always get approved, but if there's a likelihood that it gets approved, that's one less course you have to take at St. Mary's that maybe is completed or fulfilled by your transfer work. So I would recommend if you have some time to maybe look at your transcripts that you sent us and see which courses transferred over, or just look at where your other courses are, because if you're missing like a math and you're like, I'm pretty sure I did a math that works, the worst answer you can get is a no, and then you have to take a math course. But best case scenario is the course counts and then you don't have to take a math class at St. Mary's. So that could really happen even with like lower division major or minor requirements. I've seen some students that have like a lot of lower division sociology work and then just take their upper division sociology work at St. Mary's. So there are ways to kind of, if all that work if all that work is giving you credit, then it may help you also fulfill some of your requirements so that you can maybe take less courses at St. Mary's. So I do want you to keep an eye out on that. You can always ask me. We do have one of my colleagues in the office who works directly with transcripts and transfer work. So she has a lot of expertise in that area and can help you with it. So feel free to always email me or email our office. And I don't believe I provided that information on any of these slides, but I will include it in the chat at the end. So you all have it. But there's that as well. So I think that's the end of of the academic eval portion. And then I was going to show you some of our web forms. So I wasn't sure if there are any questions before I move on.
Yeah, if there are any questions, you can put them in the chat. But I do just want to connect what you're saying, Amari, to some stuff that we've been saying throughout the week and definitely throughout the day, to specifically today. You were talking about like being proactive, looking at your academic evaluation prior to going into conversations with your academic advisor. You were also talking about being strategic and thinking about how the courses you've taken at other institutions can fit and meet certain requirements. And that really connects to what we were talking about this morning in Coach Connections and what you heard from the faculty panel around being really proactive in communicating and advocating for yourself, because this is your college experience, your academic space. And so really making sure that you're taking that initiative there. So thank you for sharing that, and definitely connected to so many things we've been talking about today. There is a question in the chat. So it reads, the same way that courses transfer, does my GPA transfer as well? Meaning when I start the semester, is my GPA the one that I've transferred in with?
I'm going to say no, because we don't transfer, I don't believe we transfer all of your work. So there is a limit on lower division courses that can be transferred, and that's 19. And even then, I don't believe all of the courses, and I'm not sure, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if all of your courses were transferred in, then the GPA will probably be the same. And you can actually check that on my academic evaluation probably right now, I'm assuming. But more often what I see is maybe you have 10 courses and only 8 are transferable. In that case, the GPA would be from those 8, depending on the GPA you had. So it most likely will not be the same unless we transferred everything that you had.
Yeah, I think the GPA, it's based on the what was able to be transferred. So, but if you are transferring and you are coming in with a GPA, I just looked yours up, Santos. And so if you want to check in separately, we can talk about that. Okay. Yes, we have access to so many things really quickly. But yeah, I can check in with you if you have questions about that. Any other questions before Amari moves into looking at some of the additional forms and all kinds of stuff like that?
Yeah, sorry. This typing was a lot. But thank you for all the info that you shared. I wanted to ask, how is life for a transfer student? Like personally, I took a break from school 3 years ago, so I'm like reintegrating myself into school. But this is my first time starting a 4-year institution, so I'm curious to see what life is like. I know that we're living in different times, but what is life like that for a transfer student?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. I'm not a transfer student myself, so I don't have firsthand experience. I do. I can speak about my first year experience coming here. I'm also a first gen college student, and to be honest, it was rough for me. Like it was hard. It was hard to come here, and I only live about an hour and a half away, so it's not that far. But it was hard for me. And I remember one of my good friends, he was also a first gen student, and he also found it really hard for him as well. And it was actually interesting because when he and I became friends, we were at that point both looking to transfer back to our local JCs, because like I just couldn't do it anymore. I would like call home, and I was really homesick. But I really like St. Mary's. I came here because I really, really liked the, and I know everybody hates seminar, but I really like seminar. That's one of the main reasons I came here, because I like seminar. And I really liked my major and the faculty in my major, and that made it worth it to me in the meantime while I found connections elsewhere. I think it's possible. I was able to like be an associated student and like run for student government and find on-campus jobs. I know it's a lot different now because of COVID and how it is. And like, even as an RD, like I think, am I going to have my students? What does it mean for me to be here without my students? So I'm not sure if that answers your question. I do think it's hard at any time to adapt. But I do think that there are opportunities out there, and sometimes you do have to go out and find them on your own and maybe put yourself out there. Like running for student government was not something I really had fun running for, but I had fun doing it once I had it. And I ran for 2 more years, so it was worth it to me. So I'm not sure if that helps, but I do recommend that you seek out the opportunities you want, and from there you probably have more options for growth.
I'm going to ask Shar to add to this. I think Shar has some experience as a transfer student herself, and then also serving transfer students in our program. I'll offer that I think St. Mary's puts a lot of resources into onboarding our incoming, never attended first year students, and I think could do a better job of supporting transfer students. And I think this, like what we're doing right now, is a really good model of that, because there are some gaps, and there's some experiences I think that our transfer students have that are so amazing and so rich and so beautiful that we as an institution don't tap into as well. And so I think I'm not putting this on you, Santos, to fix for us, but I think like we want to continue to be in conversation, because I think there are ways that we can continue to grow. But I would love for Shar to talk about this from her own personal experience, but I think also from her professional expertise too.
Yeah, thank you, Janae, and thank you, Omari. So I was a transfer student, and the process was it was pretty difficult, just understanding the systems, understanding how the credits work, how things transfer, but also trying to make those connections. I do work currently with a couple of transfer students, and I think one thing that has been like the similarity between those transfer students is that they come to St. Mary's and there's a lot of information, there are many resources, and then once the semester starts, things kind of drop away, you know. So, and I think for a lot of the transfer students, it's like, well, where am I finding this space? And you may find that in different communities. Obviously, you're a part of the HP program, and you know, we can support you and we can provide certain resources to you. But I think there still needs to be a lot of work around supporting transfer students at St. Mary's and supporting transfer students to meet each other and really connect and build that community more. I did this with the peer mentor team when we were doing our transfer student support training. And we talked a little bit about this as a team, like how can we provide this support to transfer students that are coming here, and where are the spaces for transfer students to have these conversations, because it is very different being a first generation student but also a transfer student. There's similarities, but there's a lot of differences there too. So Santos, you're on my caseload and I am more than happy to talk one-on-one with you. We can definitely talk more about transfer experiences, and I'm more than happy to actually connect you to some of the transfer students, not just from this cohort, but other transfer students in the HP program and that are attending St. Mary's that are not in the HP program. So connect with me on that.
Right on, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we move into the next part? Okay, I'm gonna take it back to, you go.
Sorry, I'm a debater, so I have a lot of questions. Would you recommend taking courses outside of St. Mary's, so like summer courses, or like I took a course once from BYU, an online course that was transferable to St. Mary's, and that helped me out. Would you recommend that as an ongoing thing or no?
It depends on your major, because some majors are strict on the number of courses you can transfer over. I believe most of them maybe only allow 2 upper division courses to be transferred over. So I would definitely check with them. I want to say it's usually biz ed and psych, but I believe it's the majority of them. Those are just the ones that I see most often. But with upper division credit, I would check with your advisor or even the program chair just to make sure that it's possible. If you do, I recommend you spread them out because basically senior year, out of your last 9 courses, 7 have to be taken at St. Mary's. So I don't want you to wait and then all of a sudden have 4 courses and you're like, I'm just going to take them somewhere else, and then you can't. So if your advisor does permit it, then I recommend maybe you take one next summer or during the school year if it's online. So that is an opportunity.
Yeah, I forgot who said it, but it was at some point over the last 2 days. There was that recommendation to take summer classes, to take classes online if possible, but to be really clear, to work with your academic advisor, to check in with the registrar's office to make sure that you're not taking these classes and that they're not going to transfer over. So making sure that you are, yes, utilizing your time really well and being really effective and efficient, but also being strategic and working with those relationships and double checking to make sure that they're going to count, so that you're not, so you're using your time, money, resources effectively.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I wanted to show you where these forms are, which are the forms I talked about for declaration of major and special action petition, which I briefly mentioned, but I also want to go over. So if you go back to your home profile, you will see registrar's office forms. And if you click on there, it'll take you right to our forms page. So I just took a brief screenshot so you can see these. They're in alphabetical order. So your declaration of major, you can see here, and your special action petition, special action petition is listed towards the bottom because they're in alpha order. I did want to point out the FERPA authorization to release information. If you wanted to release information to a parent, a guardian, a sibling, an aunt or uncle, you are able to do that if they were to call on your behalf or to find out information about you. Otherwise, we would not release it. And it's kind of a blanket form. So for example, if I submitted one today to authorize my sister to, and you can be as specific as you want. So if I wanted to authorize my sister to have access only to my academics, and I submitted it today, if she called tomorrow, she could request information about my academics, and St. Mary's would not ask me, are you okay with it? Because I've already given consent via the form. So you just want to make sure that if you do that, that it is on there. You can list an expiration date. Say maybe I only wanted to give my sister 1 month of access because she's helping me because I'm abroad for a month. That's an opportunity as well. Or if say you only want to share student life issues and non-academics, you can also be explicit about that. It is different though than the business office. I believe the business office has a different form, which is like an authorized online payer. We often get parents or people who pay bills upset that they can access a bill, but they can't access the records. And that's because they're two very different permissions. On this one, we do ask the student to give authorization for our office to release information. So you can go ahead and read it there as well if you wanted to submit it. Or if you did submit it and you wanted to cancel it, you can also submit one where you can cancel it and we will take away that access from the moment we receive it. So the first petition I wanted to show you is a declaration of major, which is right here, like I said. And so the purpose I listed is to change your major, to cancel your minor, to add, remove a concentration to your major. So for example, if you decided you met with your advisor or you really like taking ethnic studies courses and you want a minor in it because they sound really fun, you can go ahead and add your minor on there. Or if you decided maybe the minor you were put into during admissions that you no longer want to complete it because you want to graduate earlier, you can go ahead and cancel it. So this is a form you have to submit if you want any change to your eval. Say you take 5 ethnic studies courses and you think that's going to be a minor, you have to declare it if you want to list it on your transcript. So just because you take 5 ethnic studies classes does not mean it is a minor. It has to be declared on your evaluation as well as if you don't want it declared on your evaluation. So just make sure you submit this if you want to make any changes. It does take several days to process. I think students think maybe this happens by magic, but no, there is one person in our office who processes all of these for all of the students. So sometimes it does take a little longer. And then if you notice any mistakes, please notify us. There is, like I said, one person doing these. So sometimes there are human errors. We do try to avoid them. But if you notice that maybe something was waived previously and it's no longer waived, please email me and I can fix that in 5 minutes if it is like 1 p.m. on a weekday. So just let me know if you see those issues and I can look into them. So that is a declaration of major. The next form I wanted to go over is a special action petition. So this kind of goes in line to what Janae was saying about taking ownership about your education and the courses and your eval. And I guess, like, I want to start with saying I didn't realize how many things you could ask for until I started working in this office. And, sometimes they get denied, but sometimes they get approved. So the special action petition really is your best friend if you can work with it. This is what you would submit if you wanted to make any changes to your evaluation. And it's not like I just want to take one less credit because I don't want to take that many. They are legitimate, like, academic requests. So for example, if there are different types of petitions, and depending on which one you select out of all of these, the form will change. So you want to make sure you click the correct one. So a substitution, that would be, say for example, you needed an econ class, a specific econ class, but you believe you covered similar material with a different econ class, you can request that that class substitutes the other class. These always go to the department chair. So they take about 2 weeks to process because we do send them out for approval, and then we let you know if it's been approved or not. The waiver is the same. So for example, if you believe maybe the course the introduction course for art, you don't need it because you've already taken several upper division art courses. That is something you can submit. I recommend that before you complete any of these, that maybe you meet with your advisor to kind of see what they would recommend. Sometimes the advisor will work with the department chair, and then that way the department chair knows that it's coming, and they know that you've been working with an advisor so they can help you. An incomplete extension, those are if you have an incomplete grade and you want to extend it. Those usually only come in the fall or the spring. So later on, if you get an incomplete grade, once incomplete grades are due, they turn into Fs. So you can request for the incomplete date to be extended. A late request is if you miss the add drop period and you want to add or drop a class late, that is the request you would use. And then if you were to create your own split or individual major, which is needs to be approved by both department chairs if you're doing a split major, because it usually includes courses from 2 different majors or 2 different programs. And then the individualized major is if you make your own custom major at St. Mary's, which needs approval from, I don't know what it stands for, but it's UEPC. I don't know if Janae knows what that stands for, but they are a committee and they would have to approve that request as well. So this is what you would fill out if you were to request any changes. This is also the form you would use if, for example, you did find a course listed in your other courses portion of your eval and you wanted to fulfill a requirement within your major or your core courses. This is what you would use to see if it would fulfill those courses. I often recommend, if you're doing a substitution, that maybe you include either a course description if you have access to the course catalog from that institution, if it's from a different institution, or if you have your syllabus, I would recommend you attach your syllabus so that the instructor can see the course. But the uploading a document option is totally optional. It's not required, but in case you wanted to include something. And like I said, these petitions may be denied, but it really depends. I would say it doesn't hurt to ask. So I would recommend that you submit it. And then if it's a no, it's a no. But if it's a yes, then that's a great asset to you. So that's the end of my presentation. I don't know if you have any other questions, but I have some time for question and answers if you all have any.
Amari, I don't know if you have this knowledge, but what would the process be for the creation of your own major? Is that something that students can do at St. Mary's? And if it is there a process for that?
Yes. So I believe the process is actually, if you go on that special election petition and click on individualized major, I believe the process is listed on there. I think it auto-populates. But essentially what you would do is you would create your own major and you would work with your advisor to list the courses because there are requirements. I don't know these specifics because I don't build them. So if it's not listed on there, it would be in the course catalog as well. I want to say I see at most 2 or 3 a year, because I look at the evals when students graduate. So I do see some custom degrees on there. And then those would be approved by UEPC and by your advisor. And then we customize it, we build it for you. It is only, you would still have all the core requirements plus your major requirements that are just for you based on the form you submitted. I think in the individualized major, you would already have to decide which degree you would be earning, a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science, and you would also have to detail which courses you will be taking. So you don't just, it's not like, oh, I want to major in graphic design and I'm going to take a bunch of art courses. You have to say, I'm going to get a Bachelor of Arts in graphic design and list explicitly the courses, even if they're from different programs, because we don't have enough art courses to maybe complete that, then you would pull them from different areas. I think 2 years ago, a student did um, like an events degree. And so she combined a lot of like communications for like marketing and PR and biz ed courses for like managing a business because she wanted to have her own events company. So that's kind of how she customized her degree to fit that major.
And thank you for putting that in the chat, Shara, that you also would need to identify a faculty member that's going to help you. And Amari, you mentioned this, help you build this and work with you to complete that process. Any other questions while we have Amari here? Okay. Well, super grateful. Thank you, Amari, for your time. I'm going to make sure that students have your contact information, and then we will PDF that slide deck that you created, if that's okay, and link it on our website so students can also access that information. And again, just super grateful for you and your expertise. And yeah, thank you. Any other last things you want to share?
Our office is open. I know sometimes students think during summer we're closed, but we are open every day, 8:30 to 5, and on Fridays until 3:30. So feel free to email me or call me, or email or call our office in case I don't get back to you, and we can assist you. But we are open. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thanks, team.